there's many different ways we can go. And I've got a lot of, I've got some questions I'd love to ask, but let's go to the audience first. Beth, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Beth, sure. Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. And, you know, I really think that the confidence piece that you talked about resonates with a lot of women looking to increase their leadership or move into other leadership positions. So I was just wondering if you have some tips or tricks that you use when those confidence issues come on, and how you move forward and get back on track with that.
Yeah, Beth, it's such a good question. And, you know, I always wonder what it is about me. I will only speak about me that that constantly, even after 50 years, deals with that issue, right? I'm not sure what it is. Part of it is society and who we see as leaders, right? I mean, I think that's very real. I was just talking to a colleague of mine hiring for a senior position, and someone said, yeah, of course it's a white guy. You know, I mean, it's just what we picture as leaders in our country still they don't look generally like us. That doesn't mean that we can't find examples of powerful women leaders. Of course we can, but I think the norm is still not a woman. So maybe that's part of it. But yes, that happens to me a lot. So what do? Well, I try to remind myself, well, first of all, you know, again, I have people around me. So I'm very honest about how I feel. I have to do that. And I always start with, vocalizing, I'm feeling uncertain. I'm not sure I can do this. I think for me, the worst thing is to keep that inside. I'm not telling my team that, right? Because that would not be good. They know me very well, but the people around me, I'm very clear about that. And that sounds so simple, but I know many, many women who aren't comfortable saying that because it feels like weakness. I don't believe it's weakness at all. I believe it's real to recognize our own limitations and try to find ways around those. So I vocalize it first. I have tried, and with some success, journaling. It really does help me because there are a few places that I can really write down, okay, Hara, you say that you can't do this. You're worried that you've failed. Well, but let's look back the last 6 months and see what we've accomplished and write it down. It's really hard for me to get that out of my mouth, Beth. Like I can't, I'm really not good at that. But for some reason I can put that on paper. And I mentioned therapy. I probably go into therapy once every 3 to 5 years, and I'll do it for about 6 months. And then I feel much better. I'm fixed. So then I fall off the therapy wagon again, which is not an advisable way to engage in cognitive behavioral therapy. But when I'm feeling those things, it's an indication to me that I'm not taking care of myself. I am not. When those feelings become like, I really don't think I can do this, I know that I've got to reach out to others, whether that's people around me or a therapist, to say, I don't know why I'm feeling like this, but I don't like it, you know, and they can usually help me through that. So that's what I do. And then I constantly remind myself to try to be gentle to ourselves. It's a message that I often send to students. So many people have this impression that we just have to do it right all the time, right? That if we screw up, the world's going to fall apart. But the truth is, I can't tell you the times that I have really screwed up and said, yeah, I did not do that very well. Many times people say, I'm so glad I heard you say that because, you know, like now I know that I can make a mistake. It's okay. And that for some reason that builds confidence, right? This recognition that it's okay to fail. It's part of growth. Thus, I'm more confident that I can do this. I don't have to do it perfectly. So I don't know that those are tips. They're just what I do. And you can tell that I'm still working on it.
Oh, that was great. Thank you so much for those ideas.
Thank you.
So just as a follow-up question on a different bend here, do you ever get to teach in your role?
You know, it's part of my dream, Beth, you know, because I believe, you know, that is the best part of Zoom. Isn't it great when we know that people are part of like a bigger piece than themselves? You see kids or coworkers or dogs. I mean, I think that's the best thing ever. So in my perfect world, I think all administrators should teach. And I have taught as an administrator. I have not taught as a president. And a lot of times it's around kind of what the structure is at that institution. And in Minnesota, that's kind of a tough thing to do. But yes, I think it's really important because we become further and further away from the people that we are so privileged to serve, and those are students. So I absolutely want to do that. It's just not something that I've been able to find the time to do yet. And the real reason is that I think not only is the structure a little challenging, but you sometimes wonder, how does it make a student feel to be in your class? That's kind of a weird power differential that is concerning. So I always think, oh, maybe I can do it this year. And then I kind of talk myself out of it, because who would really want to be in my class? Probably nobody. It might be entirely self-serving. So I don't know. I wrestle with it, but I think it should happen. How's that?
I love it. I love it.